Good afternoon, everyone. Welcome back to Basscast Radio. I'm your host, Brian Carter, and man, we have a full field here with us tonight on the show. Bass Geek is back in the house, Fishing the DMV back in the house. And guys, tonight we got Dave Miller. You guys know Dave. He's been on the show many, many times. I've been on his show as well. And we got Daryl Biron. Welcome, Daryl, to Basscast Radio.
Thanks for having me, guys.
So, guys, there's so much happening in the world of bass fishing. We're going to try to hit on a few topics. We're going to try to keep this about an hour. That's the game plan. But it's a lot going on and a lot happening. But before we jump into that, let's head on over to Thomas real quick and see what's going on in his world.
Hey, dude, just living the dream, pumping out content, getting ready. We have the 10th anniversary of the Butch Ward Tournament, which is one of the oldest fishing tournaments in Maryland. That's coming up the last weekend of October, I believe it is. I should know this since I'm promoting the damn thing. Yeah, Sunday, October 26th is the Butch Ward on Big Slack, which is basically the Ohio River of the East. So if you guys want to come out, have a good time, catch 6 pounds to win, come on out to it.
You also have a Patreon tournament, I believe, going on as well. Let's get ready to start.
The Halloween Havoc, and I'm giving away prizes for a ton of bonus fish. It's what I do with these. It's fun. So if you catch a walleye, a trout, we have now just a bunch of different species you could win. And because I'm allowing kayaks, boaters, non-boaters, just keep the stupid measuring stick with you, and you might win some prizes.
There you guys go. New shows. I think I saw you did one with the Bass Nation kayak champion, the Virginia Bass Nation kayak champion winner. And Brandon Pritchett, I think I saw you did one with him, a local angler as well. Anything else happening coming up?
I record more episodes than there are chapters
of them right now.
Yeah, like I have more pre-recorded episodes right now than there are chapters in the Bible. So we got a lot of cool stuff. Had a big 2-hour stream about all things smallmouth fishing in the fall. Had a great conversation again with the guy that won at the Chickahominy River, which will be playing a big part in a couple of tournaments coming up here, I imagine. So go check all that stuff out.
All right, guys. Bass Geek, what is going on? First of all, guys, if you didn't see the Bass Geek video, his new lure that Bass Geek had a hand in creating. Oh, he's got it for you guys watching YouTube. There it is. Check it out.
And for all of you that would like one of these Booyah pranks, well, I would too, because it's the only one I got and they're already sold out. So this is a color that Booyah allowed me to design. They put it out in a limited 300 release, and literally I got one. This one's already caught 2 fish on it, so but I'm going to put this up. So, because that's pretty cool.
What was it called again? It's called the Geek something.
So they call it the Geek Shad. You know, I like that gold green back, you know, that little bit of purple into that pink and that clear belly right there, you know, the red mouth, the red, you know, with a little bit of gold, and that white feathered treble. The clear water that I fish when they're feeding on those small bait fish, a white feathered treble is a big, big deal, because they think that alone is a teeny tiny bait morsel. So a lot of times I'll fish like Spook Junior in clear, or you know, one of the full sizes in completely clear, and they'll hit that back treble a lot of times just for that reason. So, and you know, when you're fishing it over 200 foot of water and they're 35 foot down in the wide open,
come right up after it.
Come right up. You wouldn't believe how much they shoot just like a rocket. I mean, you know, listen, forward-facing sonar, I love it. I don't care what anybody else says, but I literally see fish do this straight up from 30 and 40 feet down. I mean, it's straight up like a rocket. You wouldn't believe how far they'll come and how fast.
That is awesome.
It's the ones that come straight up like that, and then they get to your lure and they go, no. That really make you mad.
So is there a plan to produce more of them, or are they all sold out? I know before.
I think so. They're all sold out right now. I don't know. I think this was kind of a test run. It kind of snuck up on me. The way I found out that they had actually released them was I seen somebody else's video.
Oh, shoot.
Yeah.
That's funny.
So I was like, wait a minute. That's my bait. So Sometimes communication in the world, it's not at its greatest.
Hey, I understand the communication.
Kind of been the theme of my week. But yeah, man. Hey, listen, we have got a really cool new Japanese technique that is not hairy or fuzzy. Getting ready
No
to
dice, no balls, and no nothing like that.
no balls, no hairy balls.
Yeah, no hairy
German
balls.
BDSM.
Shafts or shanks or anything like that. But the video's in the can. I think it'll be out right around the time this drops. And it is actually a technique that was written up in the Bassmaster magazine. David Swinside is a really good friend of mine. And he's working with a company called Drank Crazy. And they've came up with this quiver trapping. I have seen a guy talking about it on YouTube, but man, he got it completely wrong. So it's a really neat technique where you hook what is kind of a hybrid between a swim bait, a soft plastic swim bait, and a jerk bait. And the way you hook it, it will actually swim sideways as you're quivering your rod. I can literally take it all the way around the boat. And out there, and they need something silent, and they've seen a lot of stuff. It is an incredible bait to fish over brush piles, and I assume it would be great to fish over grass. Skips real well under docks, I can tell you that. But it's a really neat bait. So, it's not coming straight back at you. It's more of it moves kind of horizontally. So it's really neat. Looks like a dying bait fish. We caught a couple of good ones in the video. So pretty neat little setup.
All right. So you guys make sure you check that out. As while you are there, listeners, please make sure you hit the follow button so we can hit that 100K. It'd be nice to have that plaque in the background or in the foreground. It don't matter of all our videos. Come on, let's make it happen. Holy cow. Let's make 2025 the year that
on my shirt.
Yeah. Let's make 2025 the year that the 100K happens. And,
it'd be nice to hit it, man. It'd be nice to hit it.
Freedom right around the
corner. It won't be
this
year. I mean, but next year, I've got hope. We got hope.
Hey, Geek, we're just going to have to do a Jerry Lewis telethon and just play it and just keep rolling for as long as we can, like them guys do on the TikTok shop or whatever the hell else they're selling.
I ain't got that kind of energy anymore.
Neither do I. I really don't know how Thomas records 5 shows in a day.
Oh, that's the new sponsor. It's called the Colombian Powder.
Yeah. I like powdered donuts, but it'll take a whole different type of powder to keep me awake long enough to get to 100,000.
Oh my God.
Shit.
It's never a dull moment right here on Basscast Radio.
We can say that Venezuela's being invaded. We're fine.
Everybody knows we're kidding.
All right, guys, before we roll into tonight's guest, and we got a lot to talk about. Don't forget, October the 18th, I've posted on Facebook. It'll be on all social media, the basscast.com fall tournament, half of the trail, because we do the spring and we fall. You got to fish 3 to qualify. There's still 3 tournaments left this year for you to qualify for our championship in December. So we'd love for you guys to come out. Please make the fall great again. I hate to say it. I mean, the spring wasn't as great as I was hoping it was going to be, but let's make the fall great. Love to have you. Love to come out. Head on over right now to the basscast.com. Mobile phone, tablet, computer, whatever you want to do it. Get registered, get signed up, get paid. You do it all right there. We don't do it at the boat ramp, by the way, everyone. You pay online. It works out great. We got the payout done before we get there. We can write the checks. I mean, it helps more. It's a big help, to be honest, to us, the tournament directors. So head on over and do that. Also, we're getting in time of the year. It's October, everyone. It is time for our 2026 giving plan. We give and donate to the basscast.com. Trade in your used boat and we'll resell it. I mean, whatever you want to give. But now it's we're trying to raise funds for 2026. If you'd like to sponsor Basscast Radio or the website, please reach out to us at media@thebasscast.com. Let's talk. Or you can go to basscast.com. It's a link up there for sponsors. all the information is there. Then, just reach out after you read it, and then we will discuss terms and money and all that great stuff. So check it out, thebasscast.com. Love to talk to you. Like I said, it's time to start promoting. Also, like I said, we have a Patreon. It's $5.95 a month. If you like to become a Patreon member, you get the show on Sundays and you get it commercial free. So I know a lot of people like not having commercials, but commercials do pay for things, people. I know it's 2025. We're used to Netflix and we're used to all the other services out there. And you can get the $13 Netflix and watch commercials, or you can pay the $20 to Netflix without the commercials. So we're only charging $5.95 for that. So become a Patreon member today. The link is in the comments section. It's always there. We'd love to have you. So check it out. Plus, discount tackle. If you're looking for that perfect holiday gift, and I know it's crazy, Dollar General already has Christmas out, by the way, right up the road. Christmas and Halloween are on the same aisle. Ain't that wonderful? I think we skipped Thanksgiving. But if you'd like to get a gift card, or rods, reels, whatever you are looking for that perfect angler in your life, family, husband, boyfriend, kids, whatever, discount tackle, it is in the comment section below. Click that, and we do make a small percentage from that as well. So thank you for being a part of Basscast Radio and sponsoring the website and the radio together. Guys, welcome Dave Miller and Daryl Biron to the show. We talked off camera a little bit before this, so we're going to hit this point really quick. We could take all night on it, but you guys all saw grass in Smith Mountain Lake. You guys all know that's my home lake, and that's where the Basscast Tournament Series is. And they're putting carp in. They want to kill the grass again. And you guys made there's a lot of comments under this post about the grass. And you guys know we really need the grass. And Thomas, I'm gonna let you go with this because you have a couple of good points regarding that. So, and then we'll kind of just discuss that, and then we'll move into some Major League Fishing news as well. So,
yeah, here's a clip to go viral. I mean, the biggest issue with all this is just you have so many people on these homeowners association boards that are not actually outdoors people. They don't care about the environment. They care about how many people they can follow on social media with their Instagram pic of a perfectly manicured lawn to really help with their third house that their third husband just bought them. They don't care about the health of the lake or the environment. And it's a shame because we have the same issue on Lake Anna. In the late 1998, somewhere around there was a ton of hydrilla on both sides of Lake Anna. And then they put in too many grass carp because grass carp, unlike pesticides or herbicides, my apologies, once they eat an area, they'll move and just keep going and they'll keep eating. And it's insane how many horror stories I have heard from different biologists across different states of we always put too many in. Never have I heard a story like, yeah, that was the right amount. It's always like we keep messing up, and then we keep giving them taxpayer money to keep messing it up again and again and again. And I just wish, could we have one lake on the east freaking coast that's for outdoorsmen? Just one, because Okeechobee, I think, was just ranked the dirtiest lake in the nation, and that's supposed to be this massive ecological miracle. Well, we just destroyed that. Just give me one lake that we can call our own, please.
Yeah, I think the only lake that I know of is a pond, and it's not even a lake, and it actually has grass in it. The rest of it is all dead. Yeah, and I know Dave's brought this up many times about the issues up there where he lives as well, and that they're always fighting the same issue as we are down here in the South. Has there been any updates to what they're doing up there with you, Dave?
As far as I know, the most recent thing was with the Connecticut River. They wanted to attack the flavor of the week, which was hydrilla, and it's been postponed until further notice. But then I've heard reports, I can't verify it, but I've heard reports that some sections were actually sprayed regardless without any notification. So it's just going to be a continuous battle to get this to stop. I think what they were doing was, let's postpone it until the public outcry dies down, and then just hit the river when they see convenient, because they already have everything and all the parts in motion, so to speak, to execute.
So we'd love your comments. I mean, I know I was trying to look back for a post real quick while Dave was talking, and to get you all's comments on, what all is happening, with what's going on at Smith Mountain Lake. And, it's hard to, like Thomas said, I mean, we don't own the lake. AEP owns the lake. I wish AEP would do something about it themselves, because it's not owned by the homeowners. I mean, they've told the homeowners many times, you don't own the lake. I mean, you're lucky to just have a house by the lake.
Yeah, and the problem is it's education. Like, you just need to educate the next generation. Most of the people that own a house at Smith Mountain Lake, they're boomers in their 80s. We don't have to worry about them much longer. But it's the next generation of people. You got to teach them the importance of the environment. And like, yeah, it's a living, breathing thing. And I live in Northern Virginia, where you have all the people from California, New York, and they buy land next to a mountain, and then they're like, I can't see the stars, so let me clear cut the forest that I just bought the house next to. And it's such a weird mindset that does not make any sense, where there were protests about cutting down woods in the state national park in Virginia because people from like New York are buying land, and they don't like, why would you buy a house near the state park if you don't want to deal with the woods? Why would you buy a house on a lake if you don't want the lake? It's just wild, crazy pills. And I really want to understand their mindset. I do, but it's really hard to grasp.
Geek, you got anything?
Man, I got nothing. I got no grass.
We love the grass. Let's keep the grass. Let's do our best.
Especially with, like, there's so if you guys don't know, the largest ecosystem on the East Coast, I think in the United States, is the Chesapeake Bay. And so it is illegal. You will go to federal prison if you start dumping stuff to kill the Chesapeake Bay. If you start legally trying to dump crap in the Potomac River, which is a feeder of the Chesapeake Bay, that's illegal too, because it's an estuary.
Right.
But if you go upstream a little bit to Lake Anna that feeds into the Chesapeake Bay or Smith, that's perfectly fine. But if you overstock grass carp, they in theory can get down into different areas where they're not allowed. So it's just, the disassociation makes no sense to me. But I will leave this for another rant on another time.
All right. Plus, guys, I know some of you guys do the kayak fishing. Some of you don't do the kayak fishing. But we had an angler pass away this past weekend at a Bassmaster kayak event. So please remember the family. That's... I haven't. Has anybody seen any major updates from that? I mean, they found the boat, but they never found him. So it was like the question. Well, I wonder, was he wearing a life jacket? I mean, what?
Brian, you and I have talked about this a bunch. Like, when they started to promote kayaking for college and high school, my first thought was liability insurance and when is something bad going to happen? Because kayak, no matter what you do, kayaking is dangerous. And then you put it on like a Toledo Bend or one of these massive super impoundments with weather issues. Plus, it's a little bit chillier. It's not July. I don't want to be pessimistic, but it was like, this was going to be an ugly thing that could have happened. And how is Bass going to respond to this going forward? That's going to be the interesting thing.
Yeah. By the way, you're get back to the comments on the grass thing real quick, then we'll move forward. The main thing was let it grow. Don't spray it. Keep it going. Let it grow.
Hey.
Let it grow, let it grow, let it grow. Hope they leave the hell alone. It had about 24 different comments on
it. I know I seen something, I believe, just recently from Scott Martin, where they were spraying some sort of grass down there that they shouldn't even be spraying. So he caught it.
I had on Jake, who runs, he's part of the Texas Department of Wildlife Resources. He runs all those lakes. And he said the difference between like Texas and Florida is they pay a contractor by the gallon to spray, not by the area, but how much they spray. And so in Florida, you want to get charged for more because you get paid more. And so they will fudge the numbers of how much herbicide they need so they get paid a little bit extra, and then they just dump it out once they're done. It's an ecological disaster. It's a time bomb that's waiting to happen. I know, Dave, you've talked about some of the horror stories of pets and children getting sick or whatever. That's going to happen more and more. Like, as this goes on, it's somehow being held back and it's not getting mainstream attention. But once there's that documentary that will happen, it's gonna make a lot of people look.
Where was that? Where was that? Michigan or something like that? They had on there a couple years ago where they were talking about poison in the water?
That was Flint, Michigan. That was
Yeah.
that was lead.
Yeah. I think Thomas locked up there, everybody. Also, guys, Skeet Reese is going to be at the 2026, everybody, Fishing and Saltwater Expo. We all know that down in North Carolina. So, everybody, they're announcing the dates and who is going to be at some of the major events around Central Virginia. Let me. Wow, we can dive into that real quick.
You like my subtitle?
Have you guys seen the two competitions against each other? The two of the loudest people in bass fishing have now.
Yes, I've seen both Slick and Blockhead.
Yes,
talking smack.
So I mean, it's like, what in the world, people? Yes. So what? Randy Blockhead he got information?
He was he wasn't supposed to be getting any information from someone that was not in the top 25.
Mm-hmm.
You know, it was an honest mistake. And,
Wow.
you know, I mean, I get it. But here's the thing about Randy Blockett. When you put yourself out there and you're the pot stirring, stink causing, you get what you deserve, man. And, you know, if it would have been anybody else, and I've watched it, I hate giving Randy Blockhead views. I just hate doing it.
Mm-hmm.
But this was just so good because I'd seen Slick, you know, talk about how he would call the co-angler names and, you know, kind of said he was kind of, you know, whatever. But I mean, look, man, if it was anybody else and he was just had to make a video about it, he would say exactly what anybody else would say. It's your job to know what the rules are. It's your job to understand what they are. The co-angler should not have came to him if the co-angler doesn't know him. If I don't know you, I'm not coming to you because I don't know what kind of psychopath you might be. And if I have to shoot you, I don't want to spend time in jail because you're crazy.
We do not condone on this channel shooting Randy Blockett, by the way.
So the co-angler did exactly what his job was to do. He overheard it and he reported. It is against the rules to see or hear and not report. So he did what he should have done. Should he have told the guy Randy was friends with and co-angling and say, hey, look, you know, I have to report this? Maybe, but that's not in the rules. We know what the rules are and how the rules are laid out and how you're supposed to do them. Not everybody knows what, you know. I think it does go back, though. I'll give him this. We've said it last week. In no other sport do they use the word cheating. It's a penalty. Mm-hmm. You know. Now, the information rule, I'm a little more staunch on. You know, should he have been disqualified for that last day? Probably. You know, information is a big no-no, along with baskets. You know, but. But there's a lot of things, you know, I think we need to change the language to as far as penalties or fouls or, you know, not every rule that's broken is cheating.
Yeah.
You know?
I think it happens a lot more than we know. A lot more than we know. People don't want to open up a can of worms and say anything. They just kind of let it slide and think it'll go away. Then they get caught via co-angler or another pro heard it or what have you.
You know, I've been in BFLs as a co and seen guys put six fish in the box. I've seen them and then come up to the weigh in and weigh them all out, or before they go weigh them out and throw the one out right there. And I'm like, and I mean, you know, I didn't want to stir nothing.
Yeah. I've
seen guys jump out the boat. Actually, I had one guy scream at me to jump out the boat because he had one hung in a dock, and I went over and netted it.
Yeah. I
was like, I know this ain't right.
Jeez.
But
it's a multifaceted issue for sure, because if you want to just take blockhead out of the situation, the information rule I've always felt I've had a hard time with. I officiated baseball for 16 years, did college ball, and having rules with gray area makes it a lot harder because it comes into a judgment. And with the no information, you could be like, well, it's just black and white. It's like, no, because it's how he got it. It's what happened. It's so hard to enforce that crap. And you can see that with some of the polygraphs that are going down. And where would you put getting information compared to a fish trap, compared to other horrific things that we've seen? Is that a first-degree murder offense, or should it be lower down? And I agree with you, Geek, that we just label everything as cheating first-degree murder, and it loses its pop when it happens, because everything is, I mean, for God's sakes, he calls it a damn cheater box.
I mean, we've talked about Major League Fishing and what they kind of do. They implement a lot of fines in Major League Fishing.
Yeah,
where bass calls it cheating, and Major League Fishing will we've known other professional anglers have been fined. I mean, even big name anglers have been fined. So
and they do a great job, Brian, changing the culture and making it so. Examples like, okay, you got a fish landing penalty. Do you want to take the penalty? Like, they even during their broadcast help change the terminology and the culture to where when you watch it, it's like, okay, do you make a decision? Do you jump out of the boat to get this one fish, but you have a certain amount of penalty, and we don't think they're cheating. But if this happened on the bass side, all of a sudden that person would be castrated online and blocked from making any money. So
it goes back to the kid in the NPFL too. The day he didn't put his life jacket on when he started the big motor. He started the big motor, didn't even move. He had to cull out every single one of his fish. Now, I think you should have had to cull out all of your fish. Maybe there should be, and I think this is where we need to have better laid out. Well, I always use the NFL. I mean, if you're holding, it's a 10-yard penalty, right? We know what the penalty is. In fishing, it's kind of like, well, you're disqualified for the whole day. It seems to be their answer to every single. You was going too fast through a no-wake zone you might not have known about. Well, you're disqualified for the whole day. Does that really? I mean,
And to tag onto that, in a comment section on a post about that, someone's like, well, cheating is cheating. This has to happen. And that's the first thing that I was like, no, that we shouldn't label it if you came in too hot to a no-wake or you did unpop your life vest. You didn't cheat. Like, there was no distinct advantage for you popping your life vest off 2 seconds earlier, or you came in too hot to a no-wake zone. Like, yeah, you should be disqualified. You broke a rule, but I'm not going to try to tarnish, and that's what it is. I'm not trying to tarnish your legacy, your ability to work by labeling you as a cheater. It's just a rule violation is all.
So, real quick here, the NPFL updated their no information rule this past week. Hopefully you guys have seen that as well. The NPFL revised no information rule will prohibit competitors from obtaining illicit information about location or catching fish from tournament waters within 30 days of the date of official practice for each respective event. So that came out this week from the NPFL. So, I mean, I think we'll see more, hopefully, with the Bass Council that's in place at a Bassmaster. We'll see them make some updated changes here before the 2026 season begins as well. And hopefully more will, that will come out in the future. Daryl, welcome to the show. Sorry, we're just listening.
I'm listening.
Daryl, they both need to put some input in on especially on this.
Well, listen, a lot of rules have been broken over the years. We all know it. We know there were certain individuals, I'm not mentioning any names, certain individuals that always got information. When I was fishing and the FLW before the MLF for a very long period of time, it was always rumored of certain individuals getting information all the time, and they always did well. And so you got to question that. So I don't think that every violation is a disqualification, like you said, but there should be parameters for how deep the cheating or the misplay or whatever the terminology goes. It should be obviously by instance. You got to weigh it by instance for sure.
Yeah.
You shouldn't be disqualified for, like you said, unhooking your life jacket or having a momentary lapse of not having your life jacket on when you start the motor. You know, it takes 1 second and all of a sudden your tournament's over. I don't think that's really necessarily fair.
Yeah.
So it's just interesting that the people that are really tough on the the no information rule, all this other stuff, also hate live scope, which is kind of the equalizer.
Wait a minute, I love live scope, and I hate I'm big on the no information rule, so that's not true.
It's because, again, like getting back to Scott Martin's dad, everyone knows like his legacy with that, but you have to have the connections and the time in the industry to develop that interweb to be able to leverage that advantage. For better or worse, it's advantage. And it's funny that once scope came around and got hot, all those people that had those great webs of knowledge were the first ones to then bash this. So I think with that kind of context, it's interesting with that. I don't know. I just don't know. I don't know how you actually put a clamp on it. It's just like saying you're going to outlaw war. That's great, and it makes us all feel good. But the people that have the resources and the means will still figure out ways around the rules. And so are you limiting it for everybody, or are you just limiting it for the new people and keeping the people that have institutional power, keeping them with their advantage?
Yeah. I like what you said there, about the Martin issue. That kind of leveled the playing field. This forward-facing sonar kind of helped level the playing field just a little bit. And that's, some of the older anglers got mad. Hey, he found my spot. Now we can see things that never been seen before. Go ahead, Daryl.
I'll be honest. I think being an oldie, I'm a bank fisherman. I'm a structure fisherman. I'm a visible fisherman. Mm-hmm. That's just how I grew up doing it. 40 years ago, all the way through. That's what I do. That's what most fishermen do. With this new forward-facing sonar, more power to it. These kids, they have a distinct advantage. I mean, they played these video games. Their hand-eye coordination is incredible. These young kids, they see that fish swimming up in front of that boat. They can lead that fish. For an old guy like me, I mean, I can see the fish. I'm just not as good as they are. And I guess maybe I have to put in time to learn it. I mean, that's, I don't necessarily think it's a bad thing or a good thing. I think that you make some kind of limit, like MLF did a 3-hour window of each day. It still gives them a chance to use it. And it still gives the older guys that maybe don't have too much knowledge with that forward-facing sonar a chance to be competitive. Otherwise, you're going to start seeing the people start dropping out of these tournaments that don't feel like they have a shot. And that's what we were talking about before. Attendance becomes a problem, I think, if you're scared to go into a tournament because it's going to be a forward-facing sonar tournament and you know it and you're not good at it. Are you going to basically put your money in, or are you going to keep your money out? So I think that's a decision you have to make.
I think we've already really seen that. I think that's the reason why 2025, the numbers are so low. We can go into that direction. And that's why the numbers have been so low. And a lot of the guys said, well, if, the guy up front scoping, and unless I can see it, he's already catching fish. And, it is, everybody can catch fish. And hopefully, you catch fish off the back of the boat as well. And it's been one of those things that I've always considered the co-angler as someone who gets in. Yes, they want to have a good time, but you hoping you get a good draw. You want to learn something. Mm-hmm. You want to get your feet wet into the tournament scene and for a reasonable cost and hopefully have a chance of someone's got a chance. Someone's going to win. of taking home some money.
The problem is, I'm just going to beat this dead horse some more. Why not? There is a problem with scope, but what has happened is that has been turned into the boogeyman, the political Trump blame this thing that you go out there. It's their Trump card, basically. And so they've basically labeled it that every single issue you have in the sport is scope. The reason Kai Tech is 20% more because of scope. The reason that there's war in the Middle East because of live scope. And you've hyped it up so much that you take it away. What are you going to blame when people still can't afford soft plastics? Who are you going to blame when boat sales are still $200,000 for a brand new one?
Well, and co-angler numbers wasn't exactly on the rise before scope came out.
They were not.
Kayaking's a thing too.
And from a guy who spent 5 years as a co-angler, and I to this day I think that every single up and coming angler should spend a minimum. It should be a requirement to spend a minimum of 2 years as a co-angler, just so you and I've had a boat. I had a boat. Like I'd go fish. I'll tell you right now, I could outfish 75% of the guys that I was paired with. And I even had one guy put down his flipping stick because I skipped the bait up under something better than he could. I think he embarrassed him. He had it 3 tries and couldn't do it. But, man, being a co-angler, and having that experience, something that one of the things that I never understood is because for me, it was never about being a co-angler forever and a day. Some guys, that's just, they want to go out there and do that, and that's cool. I get it. It's a different mindset to me. I don't understand it. But, I've never understood, because we've heard the same complaint from co-anglers, and I heard it all the time about, complaining about boaters not being on fish or this. Well, hell, they ain't but about 5 of them that's actually on fish. What do you want? If you got a 130 boat field, ain't but about 5% of those guys gonna be on them. So if you got 130 co-anglers, most of you guys ain't gonna be on. But
it's also,
I know we watch these television shows and all this. Hey, I'm a YouTuber. I know I don't show the days I don't go out there and catch them, but neither does Bassmaster. They ain't but 10 cameras in the boat. And on that last day, they ain't on dude in last place. You know what I'm saying? I mean, they don't want to show who ain't catching them.
Well,
so, I think we.
Dave, you want to chime in, Dave? Are we kind of leaving you out there?
Dave, come on, man.
Before I get tagged in.
Well, first off, with the co-angler situation, the whole concept of professional co-anglers, it boggles my mind. I love the idea of co-anglers at like the club level, the BFL level. I understand not everybody can afford a boat, but when you're competing at a high level, the caliber that I've been competing at, Toyota Series and Opens, or Byron on the previously on the FLW Tour, now going into the 2026 Invitationals, you shouldn't have anybody on the back of the boat to begin with. So at this tier and higher, that's a null point, in my opinion. Like, the opinion of the co-angler doesn't matter. No offense. It's just, it is what it is. Business. Yeah. But FFS as a whole, I don't know. I guarantee you, if you took Buddy's name out of the equation, I really highly doubt that we'd be having this conversation right now, because
I think
it has been blown so far out of proportion to levels I haven't seen. It's like there wasn't a problem, and all of a sudden, because his energy towards the subject has so much momentum behind it, it made all these people that aren't even a factor in the situation, their voices heard. And I don't think it matters, because like they've done the thing when Gussie won the Classic. They had it on camera. They had it on camera. People were watching it like, oh, is he going to get it? Is the fish going to bite? Oh, he missed that one. And what was he, moping? And nobody really complained at that point. And then it was like the following year is when it really, like, the hatred took off. And it was like,
I think there was some jealousy. There was definitely some jealousy involved. The young kids that I guess some of the other guys 100%. Maybe felt like they haven't paid their dues or put in their time. Yep. Were just winning everything. I mean, they were in the top 10 all the time. People you never saw before, but they're good at it. I mean, what are you going to do? If somebody's good at something, and you can't just get jealous and say, no, you can't do it anymore. And I think so. There's the problem. Therein lies the problem. You can't just get jealous about it and stop it.
But I think that goes back to, what me and Thomas has kind of had this debate several times. Let's talk about, when we talk about these young kids not paying their dues. These kids have already fished and traveled so many tournaments that they have fished more big tournaments, 200, 300 boat tournaments by the time they're a freshman in college. Than most of us, let's say the Gen X to late boomer, or, fished by the time we was 35. And, I'm 51. So, I think I think because we see them as young, a lot of those anglers see them as not paying their dues. They just paid them a hell of a lot earlier.
It's very blue collar.
And in a different method.
Yeah.
It's a very, you see this in sports too, about like, okay, the generation that's now the coaches and the older players bitch about the younger generation. And this is in a nutshell, because if you think of, examples, if you think of a person that hates scope, literally the antithesis, the poster style going full circle is Randy Blockett. You're thinking of a boomer that's basically like that always preaches to you being like, well, you could afford a house if you just didn't buy avocado toast, because when I was a kid, this is how we did it. And it's that pretentiousness that pisses people off. And then it cycles into everything of this nostalgia of like, this is how it was, therefore this is how it should be. And it doesn't factor in that, by the way, when I was a kid, you didn't have high school or college. That came up really at the back end. I was one of the first generation to college. So yeah, you had to be a co-angler. Now they have junior high school organizations you can get into that feeds into the high school, that feeds into the college. Right. Why do you need the co-angler right there? Well, we're not going to talk about that because that's a valid point that breaks our argument. So let's just point at the clouds and scream live scope at everything. And why is that being allowed? That's the thing, is Bass or MLF or all these other people could quite easily say, guys, shut up. This is what we're going to do. They don't, because they're spineless and they're afraid of their audience. And that's what's wild to me, because on one hand, they're afraid of their audience, but they won't go yell at Garmin because they kind of want Garmin's money. They can't say that nasty thing.
They don't want to ruin their demographic either. Yeah. People are going to say, heck, they're mad at them and they leave and all of a sudden they're gone. So they want to keep everybody interested somewhat.
Which you can't. So you can't do it.
So with the reduction in the field this year for Major League Fishing, the Bass Pro Series, I listened to a lot of interviews after, some of the guys were starting to leave and roll out that didn't re-qualify. And to be honest, they were 55 and over, a lot of them, and we're not a fan of the scoper. So now we have 51 anglers that are all scoper anglers, pretty much fishing the MPFL Bass Pro Series in 2026.
And Brian,
a lot of them I listened to said, I just didn't like, the money was good, but I just didn't like the format, or I didn't like wasn't great at forward facing sonar. And I got tired of being whipped by the 25 to 30 year olds.
I'm just going to say this. Who won the MPFL Angler of the Year this year?
Patrick.
And what's he really damn good at? Scoping.
Patrick.
So, I know he didn't scope to do it, but a lot of these young kids, man, they can fish any which way you put a rod in their hand.
And they MPFL use scope during practice?
I don't know. I don't know if they can or they can't.
But an interesting point, just to kind of go full, again, touching to what Brian said, is we have this perfect situation where all of the people we grew up with in the late 90s, early 2000s, Ike Nelly's, Skeet Reese's, Ty Biffles, they have all gotten to that age where they should be retiring. And if you take away live scope, I really believe we would still be having a conversation like this, because you have such a crop of kids coming up that are good, that sleep out of their truck, that don't have a wife and kids. Like, are we saying McKinney wouldn't be in the elites without scope? Are we saying some of these heavy hitting, like young anglers wouldn't be around? They would be. And you would still have Skeet Reese and all these guys retiring. It got magnified even more.
Yeah. And, I think that tool, I think that tool is really helping them though, in regards to staying around or getting their feet wet. That tool is helping them.
It's definitely a learning curve. It amazes me. I fish the BFLs, fish the Mountain Division, and the first two tournaments in that division every single year is Dale Hall. So that's a scoper's paradise right there.
Yeah,
that is just where they are.
Then you have something to say?
Me?
Oh, I thought you did. Go ahead.
Well, I wanted to chime in something funny. Back like 6-7 years ago, I run Lawrence's. No affiliation with them, but that's what I like. They have it was before the Active Target. I don't even remember the name of it now.
Spotlight.
The live. It was called Live something.
Yeah, it looked like a block, like a big block that was on the front. Me and Daryl went out fun fishing on Lily, and I was like getting pretty decent at it, and it was like it's nowhere near as good as Active Target or Scope or any of that. It's like it's terrible.
It was terrible.
at the time, but at the time it was cutting edge and it worked. It is what it is. It just had evolved, and I was like, oh, there's a fish. And I flick over to a drop shot and I hook him and I'm like, Smalley jumps. Daryl's like, are you shitting me? I was like, yeah, dude, you didn't see that? And he was like, no, show me that again. I was like, well, hold on, let me find another one. But that was like 2019, 2020 or something like that. It was funny, but that was like the earlier version. And then because I think that was out that came out like right around the time Scope came out, because before Scope it was Panoptics.
Mm-hmm.
And then so like that transition, but not for nothing. If here's the point I wanted to make, because you got the crappy guy, the guy that did the crappie fishing was like real big with the Panoptics when that first came out. He was like the first one to have it, and he was winning crappie tournaments or something.
John Soka?
I don't remember his name.
He was one of them, but I think he's talking about Josh, who is now out on OHIV. Is that who you're talking about, catching those giant bass out there?
No, it was a crappie fisherman.
Well, he was winning a bunch of crappie tournaments.
Oh, all right.
Before, yeah,
gotcha. So, but my point was this thing's been around for a long time. There's people that were sponsored. I'm not going to go into naming people, but there's people that were sponsored by Garmin when Panoptics first hit the scene. Why haven't they won every single tournament since if they have the most experience with the product? It's so there's that proves alone that there's a ton of skill required in that technique, period.
And I'll be honest with you. Listen, I wait because I don't want some, dingleberry to come, just that wants to go fishing for whatever reason. But I love it, and I've offered this now. I hope a bunch of people don't pour in, but I've offered this. I brought a buddy of mine up from South Carolina last year, and we had a little bit of a drought here, but it wasn't nothing crazy. But it affected the bass. The lakes that I like to fish. A couple of them generate, but they don't pull a lot of current. There's no grass in them. So what happens? Your thermocline pushes up as the summer gets hotter. And those bass just don't feed like they do before. And they get really tough. I took him out for 2 days. I bet we threw it over 1,000 fish. And I'm not talking about singulars. I'm talking about groups of 4, to 250 bass. And you'd catch maybe one. I think in that 2 days, we caught, 4 bass.
Yeah.
So, and I know the previous, years before that, you could go out there and just almost throw any minnow or topwater or whatever, and you just slay them. But those fish are getting used to that boat noise, that pressure that they've never seen out there before. Bass get used to things. They do adjust. I can tell you right now, I can take a bait. I can tell you right now, the secret is 3. If you throw a bait at a bass, 90% of the time, if you throw it out there 3 times, he might chase it the first time. He might maybe look at it the second, and the third time he won't even pay attention to it. You better change that bait. And I've seen groups of hundreds do the same exact thing.
I mean, that's the way it works, right? Bass get familiar with stuff. I mean, look at the Sluggo. Everyone remember the Sluggo? How many years ago that came out? That kind of fell. It kind of fell by the wayside. And that was when it came out. It was fantastic, but it's like the bass got used to it. Yeah. And I think chatterbaits are still working pretty good, but it seems like they're working a little less. It seems like these fish are getting used to these baits. So is it going to be the same thing with forward-facing sonar and minnow baits? It might. So
I think it will. I think you're always going to have, it's kind of like the Cinco. The Cinco is always going to work to a certain extent.
It is, yeah.
I mean, the chatterbait is a great bait. It's always going to work to a certain extent. It's just like a spinnerbait. A spinnerbait still works to a certain extent, but
it's also just not the black bait you have in. It's also the ecological thing. If you have a lake and you have all of the hard cover has rotted away because lakes are getting older, you have no grass. It's gin clear blue with blueback herring, and then you're shocked that the scope bite works. Well, yeah. I mean, like when they had that Smith Lake tournament a couple years ago, and they blew the weights out of the water there because you had these Japanese scopers that knew what they were doing. That could show off those lakes. Take them to the Mississippi River. Take them to these places that still have a good variety of hard, shallow water cover, and it diversifies the field a little bit. And that's why Bass is splitting what they did with the schedule this year, which was very good, and how they handled the schedule for 2026. So it's not just it's such a multifaceted thing, but people want to break it down to black and white. And when it comes to the kids, every sport is getting younger. I mean, I just randomly just pulled this up. Major League Baseball player, 30. Is getting younger because training is getting better. Kids are getting started earlier. There's a lot of information and knowledge out there. But then for fishing, we just blame scope and not the fact that Clemson, you get a full ride, a coach, and you get to spend 4 years chasing girls and fishing 24/7. Yeah, you learn scope, and you also learned how to fish Lake Hartwell, and you also learned how to fish Kentucky Lake. And so I don't know. Are we going to say it's like 60% live scope that made them successful and 40% college? I think it's closer to 60% college, 40% scope, because
I'll tell you,
these programs are good.
Yeah, and another thing about the young kids is that it amazes me. Every single one of them I talk to, whether whatever show I'm at, or I mean, they're all, if they're between tournaments, they're like, yeah, I'm going up north with my buddy, such and such that I, met in college, and we're going to fish up there for a week, and then, we're going down to Gunnersville. They travel constantly and fish together constantly and share knowledge constantly. And that's that is a fast track to being. That's, we've talked about this 100 times. Me and Thomas have talked about this 100 times. I think we're going away from the age of the Randall Tharps, the 30-something-year-old rookies.
Yep.
And that's a huge shift for the sport. But for it to be a professional sport, in my opinion, it's what has to happen. It has to be about the youth. I mean, we've screamed about taking a kid fishing and getting kids involved and sharing our way of life. And now we want to stomp it in the ground.
Yeah.
I mean, we complain about the pressure and, but it's like, me and Thomas said, the thing about these young kids that are coming up is we're probably going to see some of the best anglers that we've ever seen.
Oh, yeah.
Whether they're scoping or not. And we're probably going to see, some pretty amazing things that we can all take out and learn from.
Yeah.
And you're creating by, these high school tournaments that are 200, 300 boats.
It's crazy.
These kids are, what percent? 5% are going to make it pro, maybe.
Maybe.
So probably less than that, maybe 1%. But you're still turning these kids onto the outdoors. You're still introducing them, whether they go fish local kayak tournaments or local, boat tournaments. You're creating fans. It's like me and Thomas played. Thomas is a huge baseball fan. I'm a huge football fan. We both played through high school. That made us love the sport.
Well, another thing is with the youth in high school and college tournaments and whatnot, a lot of these kids are going to also grow up to become conservation officers, biologists, guides, and contribute to the fishing industry, not necessarily tournament anglers. They might
own houses around lakes where they allow grass to grow for you guys.
And let's face it, too, the information they have privy to. We've never had that. We had publications. We were reading magazines is what we did. And there's only so much you could say in a magazine. They privy to countless years of information on the internet that they're just very good at pulling from the internet,
Yeah.
Go ahead,
Dave.
Dave. Real quick.
I was just saying, this next generation will be the ones to ban dicot.
Yeah, and just to round it out, what Hank said, and really Milliken brought this. The thing that no one talks about, scope, information, is time. And when you have these people, whether it's Japanese anglers or college kids, they'll just park at a lake for 60 days straight. When you get a family and you run two businesses or whatever, and there's been some pros that have been out there on a hawk might and says like, well, the problem with scope is I just don't have time to learn it. I don't have time to be on the water. And it's like, yeah. And this is Rocky made a movie about this, about people getting set in their ways, and you're going to lose to the upstart who doesn't have those commitments, that sleeps out of his truck and fishes. And again, do I think scope needs to be monitored and reined in? Yes. But are we going to say all these kids wouldn't be kicking ass when, like you said, Hank, they're going to drive to Lake St. Clair and they'll sleep there for 30 days straight? They will figure it out. And that is such a superpower that any athlete has on a veteran athlete in their sport.
Yeah. All right. We're going to jump away from this. We got a few minutes left in tonight's show. But we're going to talk about new payouts for 2026. And this past week, we saw the Miller Tech press release. They've come on, and they are sponsoring the Bass Pro Tour Series. And they're adding a little bit more money to the pot for the professional side. The first place pay will still be the $125,000. The $25,000 difference has been redistributed to boost the last checks. Anglers finishing 21 through 25th place will now earn $15,000. And like I said, that's what it's all about. The additional, this was an angler decision, said the Major League Fishing President and CEO Boyd Duckett. The group wanted to make sure that if you make the cut, you reward it in a meaningful way. The additional $5,000 to each spot at the bottom of the payout is unprecedented in our sport and shows the anglers' commitment to sustainability and growth. I've already heard of one angler. I've already heard of a couple other anglers that are planning on leaving the Bass Pro Series in 2026, because I heard their entry fee has gone up, and they probably did this to kind of help that, because when you're at the bottom of the tank and you barely make enough to pay the bills and pay the entry fees, you're pretty much fished for free. Now, I brought this up on the last show, and you guys know they have the Jack Links events. Well, Jack Links gone, but you have the
cups.
The father-son events, and not father-son, but you have the two-man event. What is that called? I don't know why.
Team series.
The team series. Now, I don't think there's an entry fee for the team series at all. I think that's strictly paid out, isn't it? So, if you do really well, here's some other cash and prizes you get a chance to take home. There are other things that you can take home. I know the Red Crest, I guess that's no entry fee at all as well. So, there are a lot of other things. You just got to be in the top percentage.
Yeah.
So
we just got to get away from these, like, oh, listen, hey, we're going to give you no entry fee, which is like the casino saying, like, here's some free chips, go gamble again. Like, just pay out better.
Room. Here's a free room and a free some free food. Stay all night, spend some more.
Yeah.
And we know that Tackle Warehouse has changed their payout a little bit. Daryl wants to highlight that for us and dive more into it. That we'd love to hear from that.
They did. They Miller Tech obviously also came on with them, and they renamed it a Tackle Warehouse Miller Tech Invitational or something close to that. And they're going to pay all the way down to 50 spots and $10,000 from 11th to 50th, which is it was supposed to be 40 spots. Now they raised it to 50, which having a big company like Miller Tech coming on added some more money to the pot, which is good. You have those guys that help you out with the payouts, and then you can make a little bit of money. A third of the field makes some money, which is good. So still 100 grand to win, and I think a $35,000 Phoenix bonus. So 135 grand to win is pretty good deal.
So yeah, I don't know. It's going to be an interesting 2026, and we've already kind of discussed that, and we've really, really highlighted that with the changes coming on the smaller field. This past year we saw Iconelli bring it up where almost half the events in the Bass Pro Series, there's a disqualification for the no information rules. Mm-hmm. So we want to see hopefully what they're going to do with that, whether they're going to make an update. We saw the MPFL make their update for 2026. We're still waiting to hear on the Major League Fishing, the BFLs, their rule that they're looking to implement on the forward-facing sonar, which they're hoping will bring more co-anglers back into it, and what they decide to do with that. Like Dave said, it was great seeing the co-anglers. I probably hate it for this, but when there is so much money on the line and there is so much cost on the line, and you're trying to get to this grand prize, you don't really need a co-angler. I hate to say that. I mean, it's become that big and that costly and that expensive to where, you feel. I mean, me personally, I would feel bad if my co-angler didn't catch any fish. I know I got to win. And you hear so much at the ramp, my angler was a dick. There it is. He treated me like crap all day long. But, and you hear that all the way down to the BFL side of it. So, I mean, go ahead, Dave.
Well, we talked about it on this show. Last year, I was going over the budget from the last year. And it was, you're talking to do the BFLs and the Toyotas in excess of $35,000. That's adding up all the expenses. So I spend, let's just make a random example real quick. I'm going to hop in a BFL in the Potomac. It's a one-day event. I'm going to go buy a BFL. I'm not criticizing because I truly, honestly believe co-anglers should be in the BFLs. 1,000%.
Right.
But this is a BFL. This is a true scenario. If I go down to a BFL, I'm paying entry fees. Not that much, a couple $100. All right. Payout is crap to begin with. I live in Connecticut. I'm going to the Potomac. The minute I sign that I'm going to fish the Potomac, I'm already in the red.
Yeah.
Because not only the entry fee is going to be a ton of gas to get down there, hotel for a couple days, tolls, etc. So whatever I make even if I won, contingency money aside, depending on what boat I run, even if I win, I'm still in the red.
Yeah, because you're only looking about $2,000 to $3,000.
Yeah,
at a BFL.
You're talking being upside down after a win. You can't now, and to add insult to injury, I'm on a spot on the tidal Potomac. I'm not scoping. I may be in inches of water.
Yeah.
I got a code casting over my shoulder, cracking fish that I worked hard, that I spent 2 days to practice to go find. And that, it's like, again, I believe there should be codes on the BFL level, but that's just a financial example of the stress the boater is going through. Because even if you win, he's just hoping, and at the BFL level, the boater is hoping to take all these financial risks along the way that he makes it to the championship and cashes a check there or qualifies for the All-American. I was very vocal, the podcast and everything, that my whole goal was the All-American, to make it to the All-American. That's
the reason you fish BFLs.
That's the whole reason, was the All-American. It's like, all right, I have to do all these steps to get to where I need to go.
Yeah.
It's nature of the beast. But now amplify this and go to the Toyota series. The cost is going to be more because now instead of being there for 2 or 3 days, I'm going to be there for a week plus.
A week.
Because I need days of practice. The boat breaks down, something happens. I need a day to go get something fixed, replace something. I need then a 2 to possibly a 3-day event. I need to win that tournament. I cannot have people on my boat fishing for the fish I'm trying to catch. So especially for that, because I'm in the red tenfold now because of all the extra time for lodging, gas, practice time. That you're talking hours of my life, or the angler life devoted to doing this, and to have it robbed by somebody else fishing. And then it's like, oh, well, if you're getting robbed, then you should have backboated them. Then I'm the bad guy for backboating them.
So yeah. And now, I swear to you, shoot holes in this, Dave. You too, Daryl. Shoot holes in this. I swear, man, I think I solved the problems for the BFLs if they'd just listened to me. So make it a team tournament, right? Make it a team tournament. There solves your co-issue. So there's a great series ran by Morristown Marine. $10,000 guaranteed first place. Payouts are great. They average 235 boats. Entry fee is $150. That is $75 each. And I think it's like a $50, process of whatever it is, whatever it is, right? So I know for a fact in my area, you guys tell me what y'all think. Most guys really love the team tournaments. You don't have to put up with co-anglers, some random dude in your boat. Now, you do that all the way through your qualifiers. Then, just like in the college series, when those guys qualify to go to, you can either do it in the regional or you can do it in the All-American. Now it's one-on-one. You break up and it's one-on-one, one winner, direct competitors.
So Geek wants a BFL / Bass Nation series.
Well, but I think
that's what Bass Nation already does with their series, but they kind of stretch it out a little bit more than it should be. But so you create your team.
With a team tournament trail is people screaming about cheating or something.
Well, but I mean, look, man. I mean, I get that, but there's a ton. I mean, Alabama Bass Trail. Look at that. That's one of the biggest ones. Texas Bass Trail. I mean, there's always a way somebody's going to cheat. I mean, there's a dude that had a box under a dock and cast over to it and opened it up. And his co-angler didn't even know it, But I mean, to me, that solves the problem of having the co-anglers there, and you still have the co-anglers. It lowers. I guarantee the payouts are going to go up because the entries are going to go up, and then places like Del Hollow where they have two and they go to the same place every single year. You're going to get those places that are going to want to pay to have people come there. So if you do it right, that's how they get a $10,000 guaranteed payout every single tournament.
Yeah.
But again, we're not addressing the major elephant in the room, and we'll get boring NPR economic stuff. 3 words: wage price spiral. And it's like, oh wow, this term is $100,000. It's like, great. Back in 2008, $100,000 bought you $100,000, but inflation has gone up by 55%, and you need, I think, $160,000 to equal that. So in 10 to 15 years, we're still going to clap like they paid out $10,000. That might just be how much it costs to go to McDonald's. We don't know, and so they're not keeping up with that. Just like
if that's the case, then there's a whole lot of things ain't going to be happening. We're going to break down into a revolution, and it's going to be, what I'm saying. I mean, it's. I get it. I get it. A lot of guys like to have the argument about, well, it costs $100,000. You don't have to go buy $100,000. I swear to God, I'm going to do this because I'm so sick of people saying this. I run a 98 with a 98 Johnson on it for 21 years. Triton. I mean, I gave $12,000 for that boat when I bought it, in 2004. So I could still go out and find a $10,000 boat, put another $5,000 in it. And I guarantee you that I can go fish the BFLs.
You don't want a 6-figure glitter rocket?
No. Hey, don't talk about my Cayman.
No. and it's not much about the glitter rocket, but it's the same issue we have asking our boss for the raise is the exact same question we need to be asking the NPFL, MLF, or Bass. It's the same thing. And it's why is it this wage is not keeping up with everything? Why? They don't want us to ask that question. They want us to say, Randy Block at bad, forward-facing sun art. Don't ask the hard-hitting question of why none of this is being keeping up. But we're supposed to clap when they give us subpar payouts, subpar organizations to run with.
Well, I think that's a direct relation from participation to payouts. People aren't stupid. If they're not going to make the money or it's not advantageous to them to fish that tournament, they're not entering. So that's why you're seeing all this stuff go. So that's obvious, right? The payouts aren't keeping up with the with the Joneses, so to speak.
Yeah. But also, we got to wrap this bad boy. We got to wrap this bad boy.
I do have to go back to the Morristown Marine. I mean, we're talking about they're still averaging 235 boats. So
so something good must be happening there. Exactly. That's what I'm saying. People aren't stupid. So
but if you guys watch, we talked about it on the show as well. Brian Latimer brought up a conversation about everybody wants the big payout, but the entry fees are pretty much been the same. I mean, hell, my entry fee's been the same for 10 years. It's been $100. Or how do I squeeze more money out of it? Okay, I can pay fewer people. I can go from 1 to 5 boats, or I can go to 1 to 7 or 1 to 8. But there ain't but so many ways you're going to break up that $100. I mean, I break it up into large mouth, small mouth, and then we pay down one for every 5 boats. So, I mean, that way as many people out there can make money and hopefully have a great time and come back. So, I mean, the sponsorship dollars aren't there for like little local tournaments.
Unfortunately, on the big events, it's got to be a corporate sponsor. It's got to be somebody with some cash.
Yep. And I was going to say the corporate money is not there like it used to be back in the 90s and early 2000s.
Right.
It was nothing to see J&J Welding and you make 4 or 5 banners and he shows up and he'll give you $5,000.
Well, I
and
think
you see that on Morristown, and that may be another problem. I mean, if you think about it, you've got these regional trails for the BFLs, but where are the people that run them? Are they in those communities? Well, so that's hard for them to go in there and get that local sponsorship dollar. When you're outside of the community, especially I know in the mountains where I live, if you're an outsider, hell, ain't nobody talking to you.
And it's culturally as well, because I've been looking for sponsors, and I get on the phone with a big marketing, a big company, and Tammy picks up the phone and she runs the marketing. I'm like, do you want to do fishing? He's like, are you a vineyard? No, then we don't want you. Click. That wasn't the way 10 to 15 years ago. So the people that are dictating where the marketing money is spent, those aren't outdoors people within the outdoor industry. And God knows, like outside of our little bubble. And that's also shrinking it as well. It's so many facets to this, man. And Brian, like what you said, if everything was equal and it's like, okay, you had a 200 boat payout of $100,000 10 years ago. Even if you had that today, it's still bad. Because it is not kept up with everything. So if
you guys remember, I'm going to pull you back a little bit. When FLW did the corporate sponsor thing, when they had Kellogg's come on and Rice Krispies and all this, that seemed like the way to go because they were able to pay $300,000 for a win.
Walmart,
they were able to Walmart, all these big companies, they paid $500,000. And a matter of fact, one of the championships, they paid $1 million. So they were able to raise the money that way. And I think that's the best way to raise the money. Those are the people that have the money. And unfortunately, it kind of went by the wayside. Everybody backed out. I don't know if they felt like they weren't getting as much bang for the buck for their marketing, but
that's what I heard. NASCAR. I think what I heard was they wanted their individual sponsors, and so because Kellogg's would have a team. Remember the
yep. They would all have a team.
Who was the oil company? Mobil
Castrol.
Or somebody like that? Castrol.
Yeah,
they
Castrol.
Had teams. Yep. And I think that kind of went
away. On the final day, right, the last 10 boats would have that wrapped boat. So they would get all the airtime. Those sponsors would get all the airtime, which kind of worked, I thought, at the time. I thought it was working good.
And Hollywood and Wall Street runs a lot of these super conglomerations like ESPN and Disney and stuff. And they're always off on every decision they make. And when they got burnt with Bass, because when they went hard with Bass, it was after the NASCAR blew up, and they were embarrassed that they missed that because it was just dumb rednecks and it blew up. So they put money in Bass. The problem was the timing was off. They did it. And then as soon as they pull out 2 years later, Bass Live starts. And I think honestly, if the timing was different and you had that live coverage to promote, I wonder if we would have that big exodus of sponsors or if they would have kept. It's so interesting when you look at the timeline of everything when they pull out versus when everything blew up on social media. What could have been,
Right.
All right, guys, we're gonna wrap this bad boy up. We can talk forever. We can't make it 2 hours, but we can do that. Thank you all for listening. Thank you all for tuning in tonight. Dave, Daryl, we need to get you guys back on. And like I said, we just love talking about bass fishing. There are so many topics out there. Each and every week, something is going on. Something is happening between these 3 major leagues. as well as locally right here in Central Virginia. So appreciate you guys all listening. Daryl, apologize. We didn't really give you the whole entire floor like we probably should have, but we're going to let you wrap this bad boy up. Introduce yourself real quick and tell us a little bit about yourself, and then we're going to say goodnight. So I apologize, but there's so much. We can bring you back on.
It's a lot of stuff to talk about. I understand. I'm Daryl Biron. I was fishing FLW for a few years way back, and I had a little neck injury, so I took a few years off. Always been doing the Toyota series. It was a Stren series and all this. Always had pretty good luck, pretty good, but trying to work a full-time job and trying to fish full-time was always hard. But now that my career is kind of winding down, I'm jumping back in with both feet. I'm going to do it full snuff here. And I got the Toyota Championship coming up in November on Grand Lake. I can't wait for that one. And then next year, we're going to hit the Tackle Warehouse Invitationals and probably the Northern Toyota Series. So I probably got about 10 or 11 tournaments next year. And hopefully we can jump in with both feet and make something happen. So that in a nutshell is me.
All right, Daryl, you got social media or anything like that? Anybody can follow you or be a part, watch the journey throughout the rest of the year? And
I do.
2026.
Daryl Biron Fish, Yahoo. I mean, on Instagram, Daryl Biron Fish. On Facebook. What else do I got? Twitter. I have all that. I don't use it as much as I used to, but I'm going to start getting back into it now. The social media start becoming a big part again. So you can reach me on there.
All right, I'm going to go follow now. So you guys make sure you go follow as well. And guys,
compliment him on his hat too, by the way.
Oh yeah, the Camus hat. I see that. Oh yeah. All right. Well, Dave, anything you'd like to say real quick, being part of our guest tonight?
Yeah,
I don't have to call you a guest anymore because you're like you're a returning guest many times.
Yeah, man, we're like a
part of the family.
This family over here.
Yeah.
But no, I just wanted to congratulate Daryl. It's really why I'm here today. He has stellar year this year on the Toyota Series. Finished third overall. Some great finishes, and wishing you good luck next year, buddy, on the invitationals. I
appreciate it. Thank you.
All right, guys, make sure you tune in. Next week we'll be right back here with Basscast Radio. Make sure you're following Fishing the DMV. You guys know he's got about 50 more podcasts, 100 more between now and the end of the year.
Yeah.
Actually, I had to drop one on a special Sunday, by the way, one of our episodes, because it was, I know Thomas brought it up, it was kind of September sensitive. And September was almost over. And I said, oh, crap, we got to drop this bad boy because it's October. So, that's one of the deals when you start doing a whole lot of shows and you start to collect them because people availability, and we're getting into the holiday season right around the corner. So I want to kind of have that bucket, but we sometimes have to just drop a lot. So make sure you guys follow that and go head on over to check out Bass Geek on YouTube and hit the follow button and the notification button so you never miss an episode of Bass Geek. Have a great night, everyone. We'll see you all right here again next week on Basscast Radio.
Thanks, guys.